We're going to begin our Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting. It's 5 o'clock, Thursday, August 2nd, 2018. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, review of treasurer's warrant, payroll 106, accounts payable 104, 105, 107.
Make a motion to approve payroll and accounts payable.
Second. Any further discussion? None? Vote? All in favor? 3. Open session. Would anybody like to speak?
I assume we're all going to speak.
We're all gonna discuss, yep. Selectmen's concerns. Always can come back to it if something comes up. Committee reports?
No, it'll come up.
Yep. Item 6, road commissioner. So yeah, this is where we stand.
Yes.
Was Seth coming today?
He was not coming. He did come in and drop off. You've got a list here.
Yep.
He took my list that I gave him. I took him out Friday after we met and showed him the problem spots that they're just little spots in town. And so he come up with this dollar price here at the bottom that's circled, the 19,790. That did not include removing the culvert on the Silvers Mills Road. He forgot to add that in, but I mean, if you look at his pricing, it's not too bad. It did not include on the Gray Road all the way to the Dave Cleaves driveway. It only included up to where the turnaround is going to go. So when I talked to him, I figured a good estimate, because I think it's 1,600 feet from there, from Lentini's to there, and then another 600 feet. So I took this price and did half again and come up with about 6,500 more for that. We know the guardrails are, the first estimate that we've got is 24,000. I have his McFeeters Road estimate that he gave me. Well, I thought I had it. It was 17,500. And that was doing the ditching and the 2 culverts. The paving I have here from Pike, he came up with approximately 120,000 to pave the rest of that.
Is that all the way to the bridge?
That's, yeah.
Is that where you took him to the, because there is a section that looks like newish pavement, but there's a couple of culverts that are already popping up through there. And
Yeah, I
what is
told
it, like
him.
100 yards? Less than that.
Yeah, I mean, we never put an overlay over it, so I mean, it's.
Yeah, I
it's
told
great.
them like 1.1 miles, because I think originally it was 2.2, but we can work with them.
Yeah, if we take it, if we do it, that's where I think we would.
Yeah.
Go
I think
all the
it's
way to
one-
Brockway
I think
Mills.
1.1 takes you right to,
That
Yep.
line.
I
Yep.
think you need that other 0.1 or whatever to get down over those 2 culverts to get to the bridge. But that isn't gonna take the pavement, the rest of it's gonna take.
No.
No.
It's basically overlay is all that.
Right,
is.
that'll be
Yeah.
easier. And then I calculated the plowing contract. We have 2 months, November and December, of the new plow contract for 46,612. And then you have, this is your budget. And I've highlighted, well, on mine I highlighted, this third column, unexpended balance, 177,392 and change. That's what we have left in our budget. And there may be a few more incidentals in there. I mean, it shouldn't be a whole lot more than that. It doesn't include cold patch, because I don't have a price yet from the contractor I asked for a price from. I didn't tell Seth to put that price in there. It wasn't on his list. It doesn't include time for a bulldozer to work on the line road. It does not include any culverts that we have to do for replacement. There's a few driveway culverts in some of these projects that are going to need to be replaced as well. So those are all your figures. That's what we have for budget.
Did you total these?
I didn't.
Okay.
Does that 19, is that the total of that top list, or no?
Yes,
Yes.
the 1979, 79 is
Okay.
the total of the top.
Top list.
He didn't give me a price for that. Do you have a calculator?
Anything listed down below.
It's like 67,000 of this one.
Before the paving,
Yep.
it's 120. Did you include the plowing was 46?
No, I didn't do that. I meant just these numbers you have on the sheet. Maybe 24,
Okay,
35, 20, 55.
What about that culvert? As for the culvert, is there a number on
he
it?
didn't give me a number, but if you
What
look
is
at a
that?
culvert replacement,
That's the one
1264,
that they wanna take out,
that's the one we
Oh,
wanna
okay.
take out,
Alright.
and
Right.
it's gonna be gravel, yeah.
but we don't have a price on that.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
it's 1200-ish, maybe.
So the 65 is not in the 19,790?
Correct.
Okay, yep.
So, and then dozer and culverts is not included in any of these. Well, yeah, but I have some culverts. So I think,
58 grand.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah. And that includes your bridges.
That's the big one.
The guardrails.
Yeah, and I don't think it can be worse than that.
you're
That's assuming
saying,
you can't utilize any piece over there.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
I mean, really, that one right there, we really gotta get out some, that's gotta get done this year.
Oh, no, that, in fact, do we have an explanation, or, I notice there's no barrels or anything there, but, I also noted, on Route 7, if you're headed towards Dexter, the mainstream or the Sabasco River crosses there in Garland, that Garland comes out there, and somebody hit the end of that guardrail and wrinkled it up, and the state put an orange barrel there.
Oh,
So that tells me the state is trying, my guess is, they're trying to
Replace it.
alleviate their liability.
right.
So
we do have barrels,
if a barrel works for them, a barrel probably would help us.
all right.
And we need a bunch of barrels. At least,
8,
yeah.
2,
Well,
4,
two,
6,
in
8.
each direction,
Yeah.
2 bridges, yeah.
But really, we gotta get us, I mean, for that kind of, we know we're gonna be in that kind of money, we're gonna have to put out for get some pricing on this.
Yeah, that was one contractor over a cell phone,
Right.
and that was kind of, like I said, I believe it's fair to think of that as a worst-case scenario. But that's an ASAP. And that's really ahead of everything.
Anything else?
No. Okay,
So,
yes, I can't, your hand is right in line with Jerry's hand.
Well, if I could just put this out there while you're on the road commissioner part. I came in and I talked to Lois last week about some graffiti that was put on the stop sign and also the road closed during winter's month sign on the west side of the small concrete bridge on Knowlton's Mills Road where Burroughs Road intersects it. And I told her I would go and try to get some of the stuff to try to take it off. And it was successful in taking it off. Unfortunately, it takes off the sign paint
Oh,
also. So you're gonna need, unless there's something else that somebody knows about, you're gonna need a new sign there. But it has an impolite word at the bottom of the stop sign and, for.
I have
image-
stop signs in the town garage.
You don't?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I don't think I have the road closed sign, but
yeah,
So
well, you
maybe-
don't have to worry about that until fall anyway, November usually. But yeah, for town image, to get rid of that word on the bottom of the stop sign would probably be a good thing.
So maybe in the future, we try to match the paint as best we can and paint over the graffiti.
well, they're retroreflective signs. So
Yeah.
if you do anything like that, you're altering the retroreflectiveness of
I
the.
mean, we're gonna run out of signs before they run out of magic marker. So we need, yeah.
Yeah,
I tried what I could, and, you've got to take it.
Appreciate the attempt.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, back to the bridges, yeah, I would be actively seeking
Yeah.
quotes there. But now, it really shouldn't be a too difficult job to figure out if we decide to request more money,
What we,
coming up with a realistic number,
right.
it would seem. Okay.
Is that,
I don't think this list will take very long to burn through anyway, so.
no, he said it's only a couple of days.
Yeah.
Is that part of that discussion?
Exactly. I think at this point, we're going to go into executive session under Maine Revised Statute. Well, I would like a motion to. I guess I'm making the motion. Executive session under Maine Revised Statute 4056A.
Second?
Those in favor? It's unanimous. You folks don't have to leave. We'll go into the town manager's office. I don't think this is gonna take very long. Okay, it is, what time is it?
Half past.
5:30, and, to make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Second?
Those in favor? It's unanimous. We are now back in session. I have, Lois is currently the road commissioner, and she has resigned that position as road commissioner. I make a motion that we accept this resignation as road commissioner. Everybody in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you, Lois, for
Thank you.
all that you did with this. There will be an action as a result of our executive session.
You want
Go
me to
ahead.
make a-
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Seth Elderkin as our road commissioner for the period of 1 year.
Second?
Any further discussion? Vote. Those in favor? It's unanimous. On to item B, maintenance on Gray Road, Lentini's to Burgess.
I had a phone call from Mr. Burgess, and he's sent the easement that we had done from our attorney to have it reviewed by his attorney, and he didn't think it was necessary, but he suggested that maybe we should have a board vote that says the board will maintain this newly updated, improved part of the road as a board vote.
Who made that suggestion? His attorney?
Yeah, his
Do we-
attorney, well, and I think it was a conversation back and forth between him and his attorney, because there's nothing in the, and I said, Lance, it's a town way.
Right.
We're going
Right.
to maintain it.
Yeah.
And,
I would agree with him that it is not necessary.
Right.
well, that's what I said, I don't think it's necessary.
I would agree with you too.
I mean, it's a town way, that was
That's
kind of
right.
the whole point.
Yeah.
Right.
This is kind of like a couple meetings ago when somebody wanted a letter about, yes, I cleaned it up.
That's
Exactly.
This is, this.
Yeah. That's
That's
right.
exactly right.
We make a motion that you did indeed clean up.
Right.
Exactly. You-
Well, I think we're all set. And any more discussion about that? No? Okay. Public Works budget.
Oh, that's, I kind of put
True.
that into A.
Okay, all right. Item 7, Abby Fowler, purchase sale agreement. And we've got a few people here. Thank you very much for coming and helping us discuss this. Yep. We're all aware this is a bit of a departure from what we had in that previous meeting. I had an opportunity to speak to Brian about that, and essentially he said the bonding company, I'm paraphrasing, didn't really have an appetite for that sort of a project. And so this was an alternative way to approach it. So I mean, that's how we got to where we are today. So you guys have what we have. I did talk a little bit with, his attorney, Gerald Nessman. One of the concerns that jumped out at me was, the conditions, if you will. Could he just avoid those if he just simply sold the property a year from now? And Gerald said no, because all of those conditions go with the property. So if he sold it to someone, they'd have the same encumbrances that he's agreeing to here. And he speculated that you would never get a bank to finance this, and probably almost no one would buy it with all the, the windows and the insulation, that all of that would go with it if he tried to sell it. So I found that somewhat reassuring, that
Even though it's a purchase agreement?
it would be a part of the deed.
Oh,
Yeah.
if you write it into the deed,
Yeah.
yes, it would go.
Now, obviously, at the end of that period, just like with the bond, he could sell it to somebody, but all those improvements would have to have been made, or we'd have the option of taking it back, if I'm reading this correctly. And somebody said, before we did anything, wouldn't we have our attorney review this? And yes, we would, but we haven't done that yet. So that's kind of where we stand.
But those are kind of, the way that's worded in there, that's more than what he was talking about in the bond. I mean.
In terms of the actual dollars, it probably is.
Oh, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
like, I mean, he was mentioning like a $40,000-$50,000 bond, and I'm gonna do this, but that's way more than a $40,000-$50,000
The
improvement.
clearing of the bond was gonna require a substantial,
Yes,
so that's
Right.
a better comparison.
correct.
I get, personally, the only negativity I have about this is we switched without a lot of communication. I just wish that we had known that wasn't gonna work, but, I've been open to this approach to start with.
Tom.
Tom, I'm sorry, I cannot see your hand, so.
You gotta move, Tom, if you want to be heard.
Get a little signal waiting.
Yes.
I got a text from Brady about this new proposal and whatnot. I made a trip in today. Unfortunately, the only person who was in the office at the time, because Alvin was on vacation, Lois was out, was Doreen. I wanted to see if there was a copy of this new proposal. And I see paperwork up front here.
Do you want one? I have an extra.
If you have an extra.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I can come up to speed here as to what this new proposal is. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I think there's an extra.
Does anybody else need? Are you, Barney, you have? I have.
Yeah. Essentially, I'm sure you remember, Tom, before there was gonna be a performance bond, that was essentially his skin in the game, if you will. If he didn't reach a certain threshold of improvement, the performance bond would pay the town some amount of money. And that was kind of the construct. The bonding company didn't really have an appetite for that arrangement, I guess. That's my understanding. So this is a different way of kind of putting some skin in the game for him. If we hit these target dates, and it looks to me, because he's already moved these dates are somewhat negotiable, and those improvements have been done, and he's willing to let that be certified by an engineer, that it's actually really done. If he doesn't do that, he's gonna lose the building. It still has significant teeth, in my opinion.
But what's the process for him losing the building? It sounds like legal fees for us.
Wouldn't seem, that's something we'd ask our attorney, but
Okay.
because this is built right into this,
Yeah.
if he fails that engineering inspection,
It's gonna happen.
it's like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
Right, we get this re-entry thing that there's, talks about in here.
Which number?
It is 10A.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Talks
Now,
about
the
the
other thing that
re-entry,
occurred
that's
to
us.
me,
We get to go,
it's entirely possible that he does some work, maybe a lot of work, but not up to that level. we still might not want it back.
Right.
Because the taxes on that building with new windows and that's gonna keep going up and up and up. So, I feel like we got some wiggle room there. Now, if he does absolutely nothing, then we're probably gonna take it back. But we will have collected taxes for,
So the minute he owns it, taxes do.
oh, yes,
Start,
yep.
because they
There-
changed number 9, property and taxes and association fees. It says the property is not taxed at this time, which is true, and not part of any association, therefore no prorations are necessary. You don't prorate it, you just, when you own it, you don't.
Yeah, because it's not being
Right.
taxed, so it'll
Right.
start.
Just making sure that if it was yours, you would owe your portion before he.
Right.
Uh-huh.
10A, the roof isn't in that list. Of things that must be completed.
Yeah, no, he didn't put it in there, but can you imagine doing insulation and not doing the roof?
No,
I can't imagine putting,
no, I
I
can't.
can't imagine putting the floor heating system in, for the
Right,
roof to leak
and-
on it and freeze
right.
and crack it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's probably self-evident, that he's gonna fix the roof in order to do those things.
He said,
Presently, the roof's in good condition.
well, and that's what I think he said when
Yeah.
he came in before. He
It's
thought
got
it
a few
was,
leaks
it
up
needed
there.
some little thing, but it wasn't like an expensive, I mean, everything is expensive when you talk about the building, but relatively speaking.
Honestly, the only 2 concerns I had out of the whole thing, start to finish, one of them's kinda petty, but he's got half a closing cost, I kinda think, but that's not a deal breaker for me.
Well,
The other thing is,
that's typical in real estate.
yeah, I know, but I'm just, for what we're
I know.
selling, that's petty.
I
But
know,
the other
I
thing
thought the
that
same thing.
I kinda don't like is the liability side of it. We've done our part to guarantee that everything that we can do to know that that space is clean. And that's how we're selling, I feel that's how we should try to sell that. I mean, I don't think we should
Which
entail.
item is that?
I can't remember.
I read it, something about being the remediation part of it.
Yes,
That if there was anything that
Lead
wasn't
contamination
remediated.
back here. Inspection.
Environmental contingency is also part of 10. It's 10B, right?
yes.
Environmental issues concerning the property have been remediated. In the event that additional environmental issues are discovered within the first 2 years after closing, buyer shall have the option to either A, reconvey the property to the seller, or B, enter into agreement with the seller to reconvey the property for the purpose of additional remediation. With subsequent.
I think what,
conveyance.
and that's kind of like what we did, giving it to the Historical Society and then getting it back so that we could get the grant.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as.
That maybe, I mean, because that's kind of, it says,
But how I'm taking that is 2 years from now.
Yeah.
We sold the property.
right,
And something happened and they decided to move the underground tank, or if they were digging somewhere along the side of that building 2 years from now, and there was something for an issue, that would still he could either give the building back, or we would be somewhat responsible. Or maybe I'm not reading, that could be a lawyer question.
Yeah,
too.
that would be one.
Well, it's kinda,
I could be reading it wrong.
I'm not sure that you can get around it, because if he doesn't perform, our only recourse is to take it back. So let's say he runs into, I don't know,
No, you just keep
Some mess.
taxing, you just keep taxing it.
right, and that, we don't have to take it back.
No, you just collect your taxes and look at
But
it.
that's what I'm saying,
But
by
this
that you
says
are
we-
responsible.
Right, he
This
sounds
says
like
he
here, he
can-
could make us take it.
Right,
Correct.
exactly, that's right, that it
So
becomes.
we would not want that in.
No,
No,
so
I-
this would be one that we'd want the attorney to.
I'm
to read
thinking-
that on behalf. Yeah,
Like
And
when
he's
you-
free to
when you-
inspect the building as much as he wants,
But I mean,
before
when
he
you-
agrees to this.
If you buy a house, you do a disclosure about
Right.
lead paint, blah, 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 blah. I mean, we have all that information. When you buy a house, you buy it, basically it's as it is, it's what it is. I kind of would like to see this go the same way. I mean,
Yeah, I think.
for a buck anyway,
But
I
it's
think that's how it
easy.
should go.
You could be responsible for many thousands of dollars of cleanup if they find something.
Any
Keep-
property you buy, you would be,
But that was what the whole grant was supposed to do.
True.
Right.
I
We're
mean,
not hiding
there's
the
gotta be
intent or
some,
anything, yeah.
I wanna say liability on the part of the engineering firms that did that cleanup.
right?
Right, that's a good question to ask.
And we've had, everybody's been up there and tested, and we've done everything we can do, everything we were supposed to do
Right.
to get that letter saying that that site's clean.
Right.
So, I mean, I would stand behind that letter of,
Now, maybe, if indeed it wasn't cleaned up properly, we would have recourse against those who didn't do their job, I'm guessing. But that would be something we'd wanna know.
The same people that would bring that up are the ones that signed off on it.
right?
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah,
I just think it doesn't need to be there. I mean,
as the PCBs, I mean,
Yeah.
anything to do with the tank, where you're on public water, that's pretty flexible. I've taken tanks out in the fleet, as long as it was in town on all public water, they didn't get excited at all. Fill them right back in.
And it may be just kind of a boilerplate thing that's in these documents, I don't know how married they are to it. But I agree with you.
I just think we ought to get clarification.
yeah,
Yeah.
because, I mean, they're rewording the end of the deed, and it's putting it right back to us.
Right.
So they're saying, and to that end, the deed shall contain the following language. And so they're going to reword this deed, in the event the guarantee determines the guarantee's sole discretion that the recent environmental remediation efforts undertaken on the herein conveyed premises did not remediate all environmental issues, the grantee shall have the option to reconvey the herein described premises to grantor, and a recording of such deed in the Piscataquis Registry of Deeds shall be deemed to constitute delivery of the said deed to the grantee. So he's basically putting it,
Yep, a put option.
he's got a put written. So it washes his hands of it.
And it's 2 years. I mean, I would
Well,
think
and how
all the
much work is he gonna
information.
get done in 2 years? I mean, what would he uncover in 2 years that,
Well, that's just it, you don't know.
No,
I mean, but you have all of the information on that cleanup. And you have all of that talks about all the tests, and I would think that disclosing all of that
Right.
as part of the
But
agreement.
that's,
it's recorded at the Registry of Deeds?
Yeah.
We had that file that we had to record.
That's really the only
So you
piece for
don't need to
me.
record it again, I wouldn't think,
I mean, the cleanup,
Yeah,
it was like a
it's
6-page thing about the cleanup that had to be recorded.
a legal document saying
Mm.
we did
So-
what we needed to.
if we take those documents and this document and let our attorney look at it? And say, here,
I think so.
how can we respond to
right.
this?
right.
Maybe you just cite that document.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize
You
that
cite
that
old
was
deeds, you
already
cite-
recorded with the deed. So I mean, you've already got
They
something
recorded
recorded
that.
with the
I
deed.
had-
It
yeah.
is
Then it's
that it's
clean.
cleaned up. Right, so then this is just not necessary.
superfluous,
That's right.
we hope.
I've got a question about the deed itself. Here in 1, it says, property commonly known as the Abbey Palace School Building. We're selling the whole property, 2 acres included, very beginning.
Okay.
I don't know if we want a covenant for no subdivision. We talked about it in committee a lot. The other thing is, the deed is in 3 parcels. I think you ought to have it rewritten to be in 1 parcel.
I think with a sale, it would be a one, wouldn't it?
It ought to. But, see, you reference the Historical Society's deed, but then you write your own description in the deed. Because the deed is now in 3 parcels. I've looked at it. I believe the deed reads
That's
incorrectly.
overlapping.
It's overlapping. So if you just cite
Clean
the
it up.
clean it up, cite the boundaries.
Makes sense.
I mean, there's no question that we own it and.
Right.
For us to get rid of it, does it really matter? I mean, for him to own it, it may be better if it was in
Yeah,
one.
well, I don't know. I don't think it ought to be subdividable, but my opinion.
Yeah, well, I could if he wanted to subdivide it and somebody put in a 5-unit apartment building, I'd be thrilled.
Yep, and if they put in something else, you'd be,
You were just gonna tax it. I mean,
But if that
every
was-
piece of property in town is in that situation.
If that was a tax acquired property, none of this would be a conversation.
true.
That's how I view it. I mean, if, on a tax acquired, we don't get into all of that stuff.
No.
So, really, should it matter? That's a question, honestly. Cause I could be thinking about that wrong, but I mean, that's how I view that.
That concern, that liability, if you will, exists with literally
Yes.
every single deed that we have.
It does.
And our job is to get these things, putting money into the system.
Truthfully, I can't see him subdividing it, but
I doubt it too, but who knows?
And they'd have to get it approved at the planning board level. I mean, it's not
We don't have any zoning that would stop
Yeah,
it.
he can
No,
just do it.
because
Not
he-
even a question.
half acre
In-house-
lots, is that what it is in
in-house
town?
what, 75 feet is what you told me?
Yeah, the minimum lot size on. It, obviously, he wouldn't subdivide the parking lot, but it
No.
does leave a lot, higher up on Church Street that he could break out of that at 75 by 100 if he wanted to.
And you know, if he does, let's assume for sake of discussion that he does what he says he's gonna do, is gonna be an office type building and
Yeah.
maybe some people from the hospital or whatever. Any expansion would probably be of that nature,
Yeah,
which would not be a bad thing.
no,
I mean, he's certainly not gonna wanna degrade
no.
that property in any way if he's gonna have professionals working there.
And I'm more worried that, just worried that this doesn't happen, that we get somewhere into this 3 to 7 years, this doesn't happen and he wants to subdivide and, oh, now we got 2 messes. That's probably more where my head is at than, you know,
Yeah, it's a bit of a leap of faith.
yeah.
And it's,
And I keep looking at Parkman going, oh.
Why, what happened at Parkman?
Parkman sold their building for $15,000
Oh.
to somebody who was going to do what Brian first proposed to do, and that was put in senior assisted living. Only to discover it was a lot more complicated than they had thought. They hadn't researched it, and sold it to somebody else in town, who then proceeded to not keep heating the building and to do other things that were damaging to the building. And now what was a building that was in really good shape is a building in not such great shape, and
Was that their elementary school?
yeah, it had been revamped and.
Yeah, that they want $149,000 for right now.
They only sold it for 15.
well,
Take that, alright, take that same scenario that you're just saying. Number one, ours isn't gonna get much worse shape.
No.
And the other side of it is you do have a very nice, similar sized building, sitting very close, in a lot better condition than ours, and they can't sell it.
No.
So, I know what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying, but the other side of that conversation is, it's more proof for me to wanna do this, cause I actually have somebody interested
Yeah.
that wants to do something with it.
Yeah.
Which, that's the harder piece. I mean, there's a lot of big buildings around here with nobody having an interest to
Oh, I
put a
know.
dollar in it. I mean,
We got a lot of all this stuff, yeah.
What did he say?
Right over on Main Street.
Oh,
I can't see.
there's a lot of buildings around for sale, tell me, that's what we're trying.
Okay, I think that's most of mine.
This agreement pretty much precludes him from being able to just resell the property.
yeah, no,
Right.
it's really handcuffs as far as that goes. I mean, it would have to be somebody with some pretty grandiose ideas that was willing to buy it from him with those covenants.
Right,
And enough personal backing to be able to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
because no bank's gonna take it.
It's a quitclaim deed with covenant. Just a description, because he wants to put covenants in the deed.
Above my pay grade.
Me too.
Yeah, it says in 3, form of conveyance, the property shall be conveyed to the buyer by a good and sufficient quitclaim deed with covenant. Is that just saying that there are covenants in the
I
deed?
believe,
That's what I,
that's
Yeah,
how I took
this-
that. I don't
Okay.
know that.
Yeah, this does.
Just making sure I read it properly. And then Pam had questions. Oh, I know which one. Last question she had was her trees.
The bicentennial trees.
Bicentennial trees, yeah.
Where are they?
They're up on the lot.
They're up on the lot.
Planted? How big are they?
They're movable.
Well, Tony said he thought they could still be moved if we wanted to move them. Didn't he say that?
I think so. Toby Hall.
The
Put them on the
trees
line, put them on the line, lot, and that what somebody said before.
Or down in the Veterans Field or something.
Yeah, they said they could maybe move them to the field.
Yeah, and I think Pam indicated that.
That's what, well, one of the things that was still.
And I know, I think at every conversation so far tonight, that I can't remember the gentleman that was here for Brian, but that was mentioned, and I know they were mentioned that night with Brian, so I don't believe that was,
I can't see that as a
yeah.
sticking.
Brian has the equipment, probably move them if he
Right,
doesn't want them.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So, the questions for our attorney are around the remediation.
Right, yeah.
Let's ask them, are there advantages to combining those deeds into one that we should consider? If so, do it.
It's one deed, it would just be one description, I don't know if it would be that much more to.
I mean, if they think there's a legal basis for doing that, then we should consider it.
What is it, 2 separate properties?
Three.
Three.
But during this process, I mean, it'd be very easy for them to just draw that up.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, if they
It's their own
think,
choice.
yeah, I definitely would do that, then that's probably all
I
we
mean,
would
if
do.
I was, yeah, personally, if I was buying that,
Yeah,
that's
it
what,
makes it,
I would have it drawn up that way.
Right.
I think there should be a law that says when the attorneys do that, that they have to make it in nowadays current. Some of those deeds are just ridiculous.
oh,
But I can see where,
Yeah,
under
yeah.
a certain circumstance, you wouldn't want them always combined back in, so.
Yeah,
There are.
yeah.
If I was paying the tax on it, if I were the purchaser, I would want it in one deed.
Right.
Otherwise, it'd be difficult for the assessor not to do
3
at
separate.
least one lot out of that, or tax it as 3 lots, like everybody else. It'd be hard to exclude this from
Right.
the formula, I would think.
Yeah, it's in the town's better interest not to combine them. Because you get a higher tax rate.
Who's making up the deed? Our lawyer, yes. Who writes
Cause I don't know,
Don't know.
I don't know, if we get to that phase, I guess, if we didn't make it, our lawyer's gonna look at it and sign off on it. So one or the other, or both, but. I guess what we're, in order to advance this, what would be convenient is if we could kind of get a feel. If we can get answers, for example, that, but they may say that they'll strike that whole area about remediation. They may say, oh, you don't have to worry about it. When we bring it back up to Brian and his attorney. Or when we provide them with the information they want, they say, okay, that's, so assuming we can get those things answered, does this seem like something we can advance to you guys? Do you think this will, to me, it seems like a reasonable alternative to the other approach that we were looking at.
Yeah, I think it's a better idea. That one, I could never make it financially work for mine. I'm like, how is he gonna make that work?
I mean, me personally, my opinion, if, like I said, the 50%, that's petty, if they would eliminate or reconcile that liability
Sure,
aspect of it,
Yep.
I would sign off on the sale. I would
Yeah.
agree with that. That's my view.
I've done a couple of closings with Gerald, and he's very, very fair on, he's not crazy expensive, so it's not gonna be a big thing, I don't think.
I was looking
But
at
we'll
more
know.
of, I don't like 2 things, but I'm willing to eat one if you're willing to.
right,
Yeah, I think
exactly.
that's pretty
right,
fair.
there's-
Like the one I was,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, give and take,
yeah.
yep.
I have just a couple little things I mentioned. One was the financing, it'll be on the second page, I believe. I'm not sure I understand that sentence. I'm real sure I don't understand that. Because we were initially asking for a performance bond and so this could mean one of two things, he doesn't need financing or if he not able to get financing, then does it negate these other paragraphs?
Well, I think this is kind of out of text from a standard contract.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with, I think normally that's
paying a
where you
buck.
get the exclusion. Instead, he's saying there is no exclusion.
Right.
So if I make an offer on your house, I'll put in an exclusion that if I can't secure financing, I don't have to buy it. I think he's just filling in the blank there.
Yeah,
I think instead of, yeah.
I can avoid it.
Yeah, well, there's no
Right.
it's $1.
It's $1, right.
So,
And do we have, second question, is the money voted on that if we agree to pay for half of the agreement cost and the deed transfer and all that, do we have money to do it? That's been voted on?
I think we have money in the Abbey Fowler
Reserve.
that
Still
could,
3,000 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, what, close to 3,500, I think, in that.
and if we didn't, it's starting to look more and more like we may have a special town meeting, and if we needed more money, that would be the place to ask for it. But it seems like, unless these closing costs are really up there, we should be pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't think full closing is gonna be anywhere near 3,500.
That's not what I'm expecting, no.
I mean, say about half, but.
Yeah, Jimmy.
How is the valuation going to be determined for our tax purposes? I know we've tried to find assessors, but.
That will be addressed tonight.
Mhm.
But yeah, there'll be a formula for that building in its condition. I think it's on the books right now at some number that
It's
really
like
doesn't.
250,000 right now.
So it's gonna have to be assessed.
He'll have to ask for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Will that be his responsibility or ours?
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
it's
our
the
assessor
town's.
will do it.
Oh.
Yeah,
Just a regular tax assessor.
yeah.
Are they qualified? I mean, in the past, they wasn't qualified to do commercial property.
Well, they do, the commercial property that we have in town now.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Why did that come up before?
I'm not familiar with it. But the same assessor the only assessor we've used for the last few years is doing all the commercial property in town as well.
I wonder what the stumbling block was before.
Because it was governmental maybe?
I know, there was something about being commercial and stuff that they couldn't appraise it.
Maybe it was governmental or, something outside.
Because of.
Tom, do you remember anything more about
Yeah.
that?
Well, it might be because it was a town property. I don't know what happened during the time that the Historical Society owned. Of course, they're a 501c3 corporation, tax exempt. I mean, what happens with this building as far as assessing goes? There's no tax bill.
Right.
So I think it was the same case with Abbey Fowler too, or Rec Field or whatever.
Yeah, I think that somehow that number got on it, but it doesn't, I guess it does go to our value, which it's kind of inflated.
Kind of, yes and no.
But it's not, it seems like a kind of a made up number at 250.
It's a little high.
We'll tweak it, it could be tweaked. We met with the assessor and, yeah, I know that, he's doing Robinsons, he's
Yeah.
doing the
Haley's.
Haley's, he's,
Number on.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
yep.
So the things that we talked about, Lois would take to our attorney and
Yeah, I think the very first thing, we'll see how married they are to that condition. And then we'll see if we can respond to it in a way that they are comfortable with. Because we may have the answers already
Right.
with our documents.
Right, I mean, Lois, you should be able to reach out to Gerald, right, and for our concerns before we have to accrue any.
Attorney's fees.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, because they may just strike it. But if you provide Gerald with the document, he may say, oh, I didn't know he had that, fine, I
Right,
don't
and
know, we'll
It's
see.
already registered with the registry of deeds,
Yeah.
maybe.
And the state, we had to also,
Oh,
we had to record it
okay.
and send it to the state,
Wow,
so,
It's pretty, it should
Yeah.
have some significance.
yeah.
right.
Ask about the 3 to 7 years though. I still think you should just have a lawyer run through it. If it's boilerplate and it's,
Oh, we're
It's not
gonna,
gonna
we're
cost
gonna have
you
them run through the whole thing before
Right.
we're, but I kinda wanna feel like, I'm hoping that in its
Maybe.
structure, we like it before we
Right,
submit
right, we
it.
agree to it,
Yeah.
and then,
I'd rather have Lois make a phone call to Gerald and
Yes,
try to iron
exactly.
it out instead of Lois make a phone call to our attorney for,
and then them.
pay
try to
our
iron
attorney
it
to
out.
talk to that attorney.
but don't skip the attorney at the end. That's
No,
what
no,
I'm
no,
saying.
no,
That's what
no.
I'm saying.
No.
Don't skip the attorney at the end. Get it,
No,
get it the way you want it and then.
We
Yeah.
could give them something new, we all really like this, and they come back and say, well, you shouldn't, and here's
Yeah,
why.
right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
You
no,
missed this.
right, right,
No,
Yeah.
that definitely would be the final step.
right. And it may be that then they'll have to go back and we may have to do more.
Could be,
negotiation.
you're right, they could tweak it so much that there's, that
There, yeah. the-
Right,
Gerald says, well, we gotta tweak it,
Right,
so, but that could happen, yeah, Tom?
Just out of curiosity, and even though I know that the town voted at town meeting to give the select board the authority to do what's in the best interest of the town for this piece of property, was there any entertainment to the idea of a public hearing before you signed the document? Because it seems like everybody I've ever talked to, as soon as the words Abbey Fowler came up, goes back to, I thought we voted to tear that place down 10 years ago.
Yeah, the answer to your question is, our intention is to have a public hearing once we have a document that the committee and the board feels it can support.
Yeah.
In general, obviously, there wouldn't be a motion to do it until after that hearing, but in general, we'd wanna have something we all were behind in concept, so.
Though you do have the authority to do it.
right,
Yes, we do,
we
we do, but I just think this is, like Tom said, this has been a fairly contentious item, and, but we finally got the authority, and there's no question that we have the authority. The committee's worked with the board, and the board's worked with the committee, I think it would just make sense.
But the outcome of the hearing, I mean, if there was a lot of opposition, and, I
But
mean, what,
it might not change anything.
right,
The point of a
It's just
hearing is everyone gets to share their view.
informational, right, okay,
For example, the last public hearing we had was on the Gray Road.
Right.
And
And
that
it was
discontinuance. It turned out nobody showed up, but you could have 15 people stating their view as to why you shouldn't do what you're considering, and
Right.
then you could still do it.
right, it's,
Or you may change your mind.
Or you may
Right.
change your mind, that's the whole point of the hearing.
Well, in that case, though, you would have been going to town meeting, right? I mean,
Well-
we discontinued it at town meeting, you had a hearing to know.
That's what got it to the warrant.
Correct.
We had the public hearing.
This one, we got it the opposite way. You've got
Yep.
the.
I just feel like a hearing is, it's just fair to let everybody know what's going on and speak their mind.
I agree.
Good public relations.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
hurt, and I don't expect that everybody's gonna agree, that's just not gonna happen, but.
Besides that, that question was asked at town meeting,
Yeah.
and Mike did answer yes, we would, so
Yeah,
it was already on the record. that we
Yeah,
are doing it, so
Yeah.
we are doing it.
The other little thing is, this proposal is for, until August 31st.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah, but
And Brian is the type of person, he gets ready to do something, and get it done.
well, if we can get answers, actually, August 31st is doable, it's just we need a few details.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because the way I would imagine, if everybody's kind of copacetic with the document and the attorneys have signed off on it, and that's, I want to be to that point where the town's attorney has said, yes, this is a good document, and then we have the public hearing, we could do that at the last meeting of this month.
And that takes 1 or 2 weeks posting.
7 days.
7 days,
7,
yep.
so it's doable.
Yep, it is.
yeah, cause there isn't that much really that I think needs to be tweaked.
No, it's really a question of, if we tweak something and they are dug in,
right,
then we could get stymied pretty quick,
right.
Yeah.
but we'll know.
Well, then you get your answer as to what does the piece of paper that we've already filed give us? And
Yep.
Yeah, they won't remove the liability, but our attorney says you don't need to worry about that
You don't,
liability because you have all
Here's your
this,
document,
then
yeah.
we know the answer to that and it doesn't matter if it's there.
you don't have to walk up, you don't have to get
Right.
mean and nasty off the bat. 'cause you-
That's why I said, I don't know if
Right,
it's a deal breaker, whether we
Right.
can or we can't, but I think we need to know or have that explained to us.
Yep.
Anything further on this? Thank you guys very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what's I'm lost?
The sign marked by a contract.
Oh,
sorry.
That's next on the list.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could I ask a question about the agenda?
Yes, you may, Tom.
The item 11, oh, I'm sorry, no, item 10, was the executive session relevant to the movement of the executives?
No,
This
no,
is a
this one's
separate issue
separate.
altogether? Okay, all right, good. I'm gonna proceed. Thank you.
Okay. Hamlin and Associates contract. I think everybody has a copy. We're gonna make a motion to appoint Joshua Moran as our assessors agent effective August 1st, 2018, for the term of 1 year. At an agreed upon price of $14,000. This essentially be the duties that he's performed for us in previous years.
you made the motion?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Let's vote. It's unanimous.
I have the copy here to sign, which you can do it after.
Okay. Yeah, because this document still needs
Good
signing,
night.
because it's right here.
Yeah,
You want me to turn it on?
We're almost done.
we're almost done.
Any correspondence? I know there is one.
Me?
Wait 1 minute,
Oh.
I'll see you in a minute.
Oh,
We have some correspondence. Irving McNaughton has resigned from the appeals board and the road committee. I need a motion to accept his resignation from those two committees.
I'll make a motion to accept Irving McNaughton's resignation from the appeals board and from the road committee
Second.
board.
Those in favor? It's unanimous. Request for just additional agenda items?
These two things I had forgotten to, back up on. It's road work, it's town budget. The service contract for the town garage, we got a call from A.E. Robinson, for the furnace. Do we want to renew that? I believe this is the time of the year where that one is renewed, and have them, it's due for servicing, that, they called and said,
Right.
are you going to service it? Do you wanna continue with your
Is this like
furnace?
like the presidential plan where they are warranting the entire heating system?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll
Yeah,
tell them yes.
yeah.
And then, I talked about down by Leland's there where we'd have that. We do not have to have a water easement deed. MMA gave me this, it's a permission for,
Sure.
and they sign it and that's
Okay.
it.
You don't need a motion to renew with
No.
furnace, okay.
No, I can do that.
Our executive session we had?
No,
No?
I have
You have,
something else.
okay. So you wanna go into executive session?
Yep,
All right.
yeah, it'll be quick, it's only a couple minutes.
It is, what time? It's 6:15, and we're going to go into executive session under 1 MRSA 4056A.
Second?
In favor? It's unanimous. Okay, it's now 17 after 6, and the motion that we come out of executive session.
Second?
Those in favor? It's unanimous. We are now back in session. Are we gonna take an action?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that, both office staff hours could be up to 40 hours per week.
Second?
Any further discussion? None? Those in favor? It's unanimous. Anything further from anybody? Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you.